For the last 10 years, I've been producing a ton of game improvement content. I've written millions of words, 2 books, thousands of podcast hours, and now I'm doing videos. This is the one concept that has probably helped golfers the most, and it's called my 2/3 rule. And in this video, I'm gonna help reshape your expectations of what good golf actually looks like. Hi, my name is Jon Sherman. I'm the author of the best-selling book, The 4 Foundations of Golf, co-host of the Sweet Spot podcast, PGA Tour coach, but more importantly, I'm a golfer just like you. Most golfers struggle so badly with expectation management, and they just don't have a clear picture in their minds of what better golf looks like, and it really holds them back. For the longest time, I had the impression that every part of my golf game had to be firing on all cylinders in order for me to play my best golf, and I was completely wrong. This led to temper tantrums on the golf course, poor decision making, and a host of other issues. And I think most of you watching this have the same issue. We fantasize about what our golf games could be, and we're not really in touch with what reality is. But when you do start to see things clearly, it can be a complete paradigm shift and allow you to actually play better golf. So at this point, I've played thousands of rounds. I went from a golfer who was struggling as a 10 handicap, 5 handicap, all the way down to a +2 or +3. I've won a USGA medal at this point, some club championships, and become a pretty good tournament golfer. And I even coach on the PGA Tour. I've seen literally every level of golf, and I've gone through it myself. And the one thing I have not noticed is someone who conquered every phase of the game in one round. And that's how I came up with my 2/3 rule. And this really excludes what's going on in the PGA Tour. We've seen players like Jim Furyk shoot a 58 before, where he did everything almost perfectly. This certainly doesn't apply. I'm talking about the rest of us. So for the sake of simplicity, I break golf down into 3 phases: tee shots, approach shots, and anything that occurs within 100 yards, which is what I would call finesse shots. So this would be obviously your wedges and putter. And the thing I've found is to play your best golf, you actually only need 2 out of 3 parts of your game to be going well to shoot your best scores. And I think when players start to wrap their heads around this, they can breathe a sigh of relief and relax a little bit. Every single time you tee off, if you're expecting for everything to go right, at the first sign of a bad drive or a missed putt, you just absolutely lose your composure and things start going awry for the entire day. Understanding that one phase of your golf game, whether it's your irons, your driver, or your finesse clubs, is going to abandon you, and it's going to be a struggle. And that's okay. You can still play well with one of these things still being a problem. I've had plenty of days where I've shot under par where my putting was kind of dreadful, but my irons and driver were really on. Or some days I'm struggling with my iron play and my wedges and putter are there to save me. So I've gotten to a fairly high level of this game, and I can't really recall one round where everything went according to plan. So just being at peace with the fact that you can play your best golf while experiencing some serious discomfort in one part of your game is so important to understand. Now here's the more important part. Becoming a better golfer is really more about those 1 out of 3 rounds, or what I would call 0 out of 3 rounds, and let me explain why. So I think you can shoot your average scores when one part of your game is above average and the other 2 are a bit of a struggle. But where golfers really get into trouble are those 0 out of 3 days. That's where you tee off and maybe the first 4 or 5 holes, nothing's going well. You're getting frustrated with yourself. You've been looking forward to your round all week and you think it's a bit of a disaster. And you need tools to coach yourself on the golf course so you don't end up with those 0 out of 3 days. And this is really what I try and hang my hat on every time I compete or even play a regular round of golf. If my swing doesn't feel comfortable or maybe my energy level isn't there, I'm still going to figure out ways to coach myself and make sure that the round is not an absolute disaster. So how can you do that? Well, there's so many tools at your disposal. If you've been watching my channel, listening to my podcast, or even read my book, the way you practice is really important. If you're losing all your drives to the right or thinning your irons, are you working on your ball impact skills while you practice so that you have a way of closing down that club face, or maybe adjusting the arc of your swing a bit? A lot of players, when they start having those 1 or 0 out of 3 days, they give up on strategy. They start making stupid decisions. Other people start losing their tempers and their mental game starts to suffer. They're not going through the routine anymore. So my goal for every golfer is to have these tools at their disposal so when they are struggling, they can intervene with ball striking, strategic decisions, or just kind of the inner dialogue that they're having with themselves. The main thing I want all of you to understand is that every single time you tee it up, you can expect one part of your game to basically abandon you and be a struggle. You don't need to be perfect to have a great round of golf. You need to be patient. If you can remind yourself that mistakes are okay and have the mental resolve to dig in, then your scores are absolutely going to improve. This might sound incredibly simple to all of you, but I promise when you have this mindset shift and you're more accepting of what good golf actually looks like, it's going to unlock a totally different perspective for you. And I've gotten message from hundreds, even thousands of golfers at this point who have used the 2/3 rule to change their entire golf game. And the last thing I'll leave you with is understanding that this is relative to every single level of golfer. If you're a beginner looking to break 100, 90, 80, or even 70, I think this rule holds up for everyone and it never changes. It's just relative to your experience and your skill level. So next time you tee it up, think about the 2/3 rule and understand that golf is going to be uncomfortable at some point during the round, and it's okay. This is one of just hundreds of concepts that are in my best-selling book, The 4 Foundations of Golf. You can check it out on Amazon. And don't miss my other video where I teach you about club fitting and how to ignore all of the marketing myths of the golf equipment industry.